is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak, and I am one day late this week. Well, I finally got it to rhyme nicely. So, hi, I'm your host, Brett Levy, and for those of you that are a bit confused, maybe got a notification to say that I'm now live. Yes, it is Thursday today. It's not Wednesday. Well, technically, it is still Wednesday in the United States. So for them, it's Wednesday. But I actually got myself truly and helplessly sidetracked because of Amazon Prime Day. Went down a rabbit hole of great deals and great offers and that. So I thought I'd prepared the show. I'm going to do the show, and I'm going to just do it on Thursday and see what happens. So yeah, bear with me. It's, as I said, one day late, but better late than never, as they always say. So in Things with a Z, and I have to just pause for a second. Don't know if you noticed, if you are watching the show as opposed to just listening to it. SMEA TV, our sponsors or broadcast partners, have changed the logo. So I don't have a little blue logo down at the bottom. We've now got a red one, and there's actually a multicolored one as well. But it clashed with some of my slides, so I just went with the red. So, yep, so new logo, same show, and off we go with Things with a Z. So I mentioned that I got distracted by Amazon Prime Day. Now, there's a whole story to that. My TV is actually, well, one of my TVs is actually broken. I can't get aerial signal through it anymore. It's just not doing anything. And the only way I can watch something is if I use my Apple TV or my Google TV. Now, my Google TV is in another room, in a guest room, and it's being used on that TV. My Apple TV is downstairs on my main TV. So my bedroom TV is now just a really big piece of glass that turns pink and green every now and then. Done a bit of research, checked the HDMI cables, all the things that Google tells me to do. It's not fixing. But if you tolerate every now and then it just kind of crashing or going a little bit pink or green, then as I said, I can use a streaming device. So I dug out my Amazon Fire TV, which if you're watching, you can see a little picture, but like Google TV, it's a dongle that plugs in and has a remote. And I thought, well, let me see if this works on the TV. Now, it's quite interesting. So the answer is yes, it does work. But here's something that was quite interesting, and I've had actually reviewed or discussed this before when it comes to chargers, that not all chargers are equal. And this was case in point. I had a USB-C cable that was, USB micro cable that was already connected in the room where the TV is. So I thought, well, I'll just plug it into the Fire TV and we'll be good to go. And what happened was it booted up. If you have a Fire TV, you'll know that sound I'm talking about. And then it kind of petered out again. It kind of went into a loop. That's, so I was like wondering, well, I don't know if I've done something wrong. Maybe it's, the TV is like really on the end of its legs now. And then I realized that I might not be powering it on proper power. So I actually took the Amazon TV, Fire TV charger that it comes with, and I plugged it into the cable, and I plugged it into separate dedicated power, and it's working. So just a lesson, before you go throwing away cables or throwing away devices, make sure you're using the factory supplied charger. Now, this is an interesting discussion, right? Because the EU has now decided that USB-C is the only format, and we spoke about this with the iPhone and what they're going to do with regards to their phones in that market, because they won't be able to use their Lightning port. So bear that in mind, that not all cables are created equal, and actually you still have to read the device, that even if it says USB-C, it might require more power than just the 5 volt or 5 watt rather that comes on some of the standard little chargers, because I think this was actually a 9 watt. So yeah, Fire TV to the rescue. I must say it's been a while since I've used the Fire TV, and after using Google TV now, I can see that there's quite a similar interface. I'm not sure who copied who, but the navigation was quite similar. A lot of apps on there that I haven't seen before, like especially on the entertainment side of things, on the TV side of things. So if you're in the market for a streaming device, the only one I haven't got and actually haven't reviewed is Roku. I don't think there's anything wrong or bad with Roku. I've just never played with it and don't have one in the mix of my toy box. I still think, though, that my ranking would still be Apple TV first, then my Google TV, and then the Fire TV. And that's just because, a lot of my home automation is also Google. Yes, I am an Apple user, I'm an Apple fanboy, but I have spoken about it many times that my house and my business runs on Google. So yeah, Apple Fire TV, great, probably the cheapest actually of the devices. And again, it was Amazon Prime Day for the last 2 days. For those of you that are listening live in America, you've still got time. I think it's like $20 to pick one up online at Amazon Prime. So yeah, sorry for everyone else in Australia. It's too late for you, but if you're in the States or you're using My Shopping and having it delivered, you can pick one up in the States and have it sent over. Postage would probably cost you more than it's worth. So just pay the normal price. But the one thing I do want to point out, there are different types of Apple TVs. Fire TVs. You have the Lite, you have the normal Fire TV, and then you have the 4K. And they're obviously different prices. Now, the Lite, I think, has voice control, but the buttons on the remote, there's a lot less buttons. And you don't have the dedicated Netflix and Prime Video. And then there's the normal one, the one that I've got on the picture on the screen, which is the one I have, which has the dedicated channel buttons as well, and the Alexa voice, and it works really well. And then there's the 4K, which is the same as this one, but obviously for 4K content. So that is Things with AZ, and onto tech news. So OpenC. So I talk about NFTs and NFT marketplaces, but equally I talk about scams and being hacked and all these good things. Unfortunately, it's OpenC's turn. It's a very popular NFT marketplace. If you didn't know what they do, this is where you would buy or trade NFTs. And they've issued a warning that 1.8 million of their users' emails may have been compromised. Now, when someone says may have been compromised, you have been compromised. It's generally what it is. No one's going to go out there and fly a red flag when they think you've been compromised. So if you do trade in NFTs and or if you do use OpenC, this might be the time that you want to go and set up two-factor authentication if you haven't already done so, and or maybe just have a look at your credentials, if need be, even change your email address that you use on your OpenC account. It's just a warning. I don't have an OpenC account, so I'm not too perturbed. Famous friend, Mr. Musk. So Elon has apparently, or is not apparently, he has reneged on his Twitter deal. I kind of did say this was going to happen when they first announced the Twitter deal. I don't know where the $44 billion valuation comes from. I don't think too many people know where the $44 billion valuation comes from. And I think that when Elon woke up the next day and cleared whatever things he'd used to celebrate the night before for the deal, I don't think Elon realized where the 44 billion valuation comes from either. So he's been spending the last few months trying to get out of this deal and hiding behind bots and a number of fake accounts and all the things that he would use to try to get out of the deal. And it looks like they've both legaled up. Twitter is going to make sure that he does pay and or there's some form of compensation. And Elon's going to try and, if anything, if he is going to have to go through with this deal, he's definitely going to try and renegotiate the price. I can say that the shares have gone down. I think it was 30% of based on all of this. So yeah, more doom and gloom in the stock market if you're playing there. But let's see how this plays out. It's becoming a little bit of a, this might become a reality TV show out there. Apple lockdown mode. So we spoke about OpenC being hacked and two-factor authentication. Apple lockdown mode is kind of like that. It's that little cyanide pill that assassins carry with them when they've been caught and they're going to be questioned, and they now take this pill and then that's it. It's obviously tickets. This is the most serious of the lockdown modes that you can get on a phone. So what is it? Basically, if you think that you've been targeted or cyber attacked or hacked, you activate Apple lockdown mode and your phone kind of becomes just one up from a brick. Basically, you can make phone calls. None of your apps are going to work properly. Everything's just going to yeah, it's just going to kind of stop working. So the question is, why would you use it? Well, in my opinion, you wouldn't and you shouldn't. Well, it's only my opinion. There's a lot of security experts out there that feel that it might actually be more trouble than it's worth, because once you activate it and everything stops working on your phone, the hoops you're going to have to try and jump through to undo it are going to probably be more painful than whatever was hacked on your phone. And remember, Apple iPhones generally don't get hacked, and they're not really spyware and malware. Well, spyware and malware, sorry, aren't really successfully implemented or executed on those devices. So it goes back to the rule of thumb: don't go do anything on dodgy sites. Don't go visit dodgy sites. Have a dedicated device for your dodgy sites, and a dedicated network. Use a 4G connection with a little dongle. Use a computer or phone if that's your preference, and do what you need to do on the dodginess full sites of the world to your heart's content. But don't do it on your main device. It's just going to cause problems for you. It'll be interesting to see how this plays. The main reason with Apple lockdown device or lockdown mode was basically in response to the fact that I think it's an Israeli company that has now successfully penetrated Apple iPhones for the FBI and other uh, bodies or intelligence agencies. So this is Apple's way of basically trying to make sure that the phone is really not penetrable. So there's that. So yeah, what else we got? Okay, so speaking of security and the FBI, they've warned people that they've warned now that people are using deepfakes to apply for work from home jobs. So when I first read this article, I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. If you're watching the show, you'll see up on the screen I've got a real guy and a deepfake Tom Cruise guy. And if you look at the picture, it's really good. I mean, this guy's good. Like the deepfakes work really well. So why is this happening? Well, with us working from home for the last 2 years, your interview has been via Zoom or Teams or WebEx or whichever it is. So the ability to create a deepfake, and even one step further, an AI deepfake, is happening. People are now applying for jobs where they can just be interviewed or apply online and maybe put pictures online and so on, and then using that to get work, and then from there they're now inside the company, and once they're inside the company, well, they can do all kinds of things. So corporate ID databases, things like that, personal information, email addresses, ask OpenC, these can obviously all be stolen and hacked. So just be careful. Some of the telltale signs that you are interviewing a deepfake would be like the voice spoof doesn't quite work, like the audio sometimes doesn't sync with the voice when you're asking questions. And then if there's a sneeze or a cough, it's not always reflected in the visuals, right? So if the person's speaking but the visual that you're seeing is different and they sneeze and you don't see the face sneezing, chances are it's probably a deep fake. Now, this next story freaks me out a little bit. Why is it on the technology show? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it came across my tech networks or it uses technology to create it. But the Swedish company has offered a plant-based burger. I'm going to stress the word plant-based burger that tastes like human meat. Okay, let's just stop there for a second, right? And again, I'm still not sure why I have this on here. Now, my first question, so the company is called OUMPH, OUMPH, and they did this during Halloween last year as a campaign that they were going to put this human meat tasting burger up. And if you are watching the show, you see the guy's got his black gloves and he's got what looks like oozing juices and they're coming out of it. But my question here is, how do we know what human meat tastes like? Like, that's just the question, right? And I mean, I think I probably put the story up here because of the deep fakes. And I was like, well, that's a deep fake. And here's a fake about human meat. It is fake. They're not cooking up people for you to eat. It is plant-based. I'm going to say that again. It's plant-based. It went viral. It smashed so many different Reddit channels and that as well. But yeah, you know, why? That's just the question. Anyway, I think that's enough of tech news, and let's move on to some fun things. So, are you game? So, probably another reason why I got distracted this week with regard, besides blaming Amazon Prime Day, was this game. So I played Summerist 3. Now, this is not the first game that I've featured by Aminita Design, which is the studio that did this. About a month ago, I featured Creeks, which I'm actually still playing as well. So I said I'd still be playing it. I am still playing it. But Samorost 1 and 2 were very good games. They were intriguing games. Samorost 3 is it's just beautiful. It is an absolutely beautifully designed game. If you're if you're watching the show, you'll see I put some screenshots up. You're this little like alien dude with it looks like he's wearing almost sleepwear. There are no instructions, so you literally in a building and you arrive and you've just got to figure everything out, zooming in, rotating, finding one guy to get something from him. So if you're watching, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. There's a picture of a guy in the one scene there. He's holding like a mushroom. He's got a little baskety thing on his backpack. He's quite important. I'll just put it out there. Took me a while to figure him out. Definitely a game that you want to wear a headset with. The sounds and the music and the ambience in the background is just amazing. Now, Summerist 3 is actually free on Apple Arcade. I don't know if this is for a temporary period of time. You have to pay for it on Android. You can buy it on iPhone as well. I think it's about $6 or $7 Australian. And then you can get it on Steam as well. So there's a PC version. I don't know what that costs. But I mean, for me, as you know, I review a lot of my games of Apple Arcade, being a mobile gamer. But if you have got Apple Arcade, this is definitely one of the games to download and get. And I don't actually know how that works. As long as your subscriptions and play and you've already downloaded it, if they take it off Apple Arcade, I don't know if it disappears. It's a very good question. I should find that out. But absolutely beautiful game. I'm hooked. As I said, I've found myself playing with it instead of doing other things. It's one of those games that's actually very easy to distract. However, that being said, because of the soundtrack behind it, you might actually want to put dedicated time aside. Take an hour, put your headset on, immerse yourself into this little world. It's actually quite a big world. This is going to be one of those games that's going to take me a long time to finish because, as I said, you've got to figure stuff out. There is auto saves. Just remember to keep saving your game. You'll see there's a little star icon when you hit it. It opens like all these empty slots, and that's where you save your game. Just tap one of the empty slots and it will save your progress. And believe me, you want to do that because if you don't and you figure out all these steps that you have to go through, and you have to do it all over again, and that's a lot of time wasted. So yeah, Summerist 3. There has been version 1 and 2. I don't think you need to play 1 and 2. This is kind of like if 1 was 1D, this is 3D. You know what I mean? And they've added a couple of things to it. You don't need to play 1 and 2 to take the benefit of to be able to play 3. So yeah, Summerist 3 definitely worthy of RU Game. And that will then bring us to Q&A. So what have we got here? Questions? I actually remember reading this, and definitely an easy one. So the question was, how to play Apple Music across multiple Google speakers. And the reason I remember reading it was like people actually talking about Apple Music across Google speakers. And I always like finding ways where these two ecosystems do work. So it's actually really, really simple. First of all, let's start with the Google speakers. So whether you've got the little mini or the big Nest speaker or a combination of both, or even the display, you have to have the Google Home app. It just doesn't work otherwise. I shouldn't be telling you this. If you didn't know that, then I'm clearly going to think that your speakers don't work at home. So what you do is, first of all, ask Google to play a song or whatever it is on one of the speakers, wherever you are in the room, okay, whichever room you're in. So get the song going first and go, oh, this is awesome. Maybe the whole house should benefit from it. Right. Then you open the Google Home app and you tap media. So media's along the top of it. There's media, there's broadcast, there's settings. I'm sitting here guessing when I could just actually open the Google Media Home and have a look. Yeah, so it's media, broadcast, the cameras, if you've got cameras set up, at settings. So they're all on the top of the app. So tap media, and then you'll find the controller for the content that's playing. And then once you've done that, you can actually tap the speakers all your speakers that are ready to be paired or ready to be shared. So I've got 4 speakers or 4 display and or speaker combinations throughout the house, and you just tap the dots and voila, perfectly synced, perfectly timed, and your Apple Music is now playing across multiple speakers. Now, I haven't tried this for Google Music or Amazon Music, or Spotify. I see absolutely no reason why this would work, because it would be exactly the same steps. If Spotify is your default, you'd play it on one of the speakers, and then you would. In fact, I'm looking at the screen now. It says play music, select a device, so you can actually probably start playing from there as well. So definitely you can do it. It works really well, really seamlessly. 3 little steps, and hopefully that answers that question for you. Well, that's all I have on Q&A, and that will take us to the end of the show. Let's go back out of our screen sharing, and I suppose that's one thing left to do, and that's until next time, hopefully on Wednesday. Until next